In a matter of days, Ivanka Trump will be cross-examined in a New York courtroom where her father, two brothers and their family company are on trial. The non-jury civil fraud trial stems from a lawsuit brought by New York's Attorney General Letitia James, which alleges that Donald Trump and his company misled banks and others about the value of his assets to secure financing.
It went very well. I think you were there and you listened and you see what a scam this is. This is a case that should have never been brought. It's a case that should be dismissed immediately. The fraud was on behalf of the court. The court was the fraudster in this case. They made references to assets that were very valuable, and they said they had no idea. They had no idea what the numbers were when they said $18 million for Mar-a-Lago. And it's 50 to 100 times that amount by any estimation.
Ivanka has just celebrated her 42nd birthday in Miami, where she spent the weekend with family and friends. After being an advisor to her father and the former president, Ivanka has made spending time with her family a priority. But she's also been spotted at key social events and recently attended Kim Kardashian's 43rd birthday party. Now Ivanka is about to be dragged into the spotlight again when she's cross-examined on Wednesday. Ivanka tried to avoid appearing, but her bid was unsuccessful.
It's a terrible thing that's happened here. We're taking days and days and weeks, and it goes on, and then you look at the outside world and what's happened. But of course, they're getting their wish because I don't have to be here for the most part, but I certainly do have to be here because I want to be here because it's a scam. And this is a case that should have never been brought, and it's a case that now should be dismissed. Everybody saw what happened today. Everybody saw what happened with their star witness who admitted that. I never told him what he originally said. I did. He admitted that he lied, and he has absolutely no credibility whatsoever. That's their only witness. That's their only witness. And I think you saw what I had to say today, and it was very conclusive. Everything we did was absolutely right. To think that we're being sued and spending all this time and money, and yet people being killed all over the world, that this country could stop. With inflation and all of the other problems that this country has, I think it's a disgrace. And when you look at the numbers, the poll numbers that came out today from the New York Times and CBS, I'm sure the Times was not too happy. But people are sick and tired of what's happening. This is I think it's a very sad day for America. But anyway, this is a case that should have never been brought, and it's a case that should be immediately dismissed.
Donald Trump has denied any wrongdoing and has repeatedly said his assets were actually undervalued. There's a huge amount at stake for the Trump family. The Attorney General not only wants them fined $250 million, she also wants Trump and his sons to be permanently banned from running businesses in New York. Now, in September, the judge ruled Donald Trump and his co-defendants were liable for fraud.
But this judge decided this case and liability before we walked up those stairs. I didn't have a shot. So right now we're sitting here doing a whole dance, and the only thing they want are facts that are bad for Trump. That's why he's silencing him. That's why he's telling him short answers, and that's why he's clearly enraged. His face is red. He came in hot, and he doesn't know how to handle him.
That was Donald Trump's lawyer, who didn't hold back outside the Manhattan court, describing the judge as unhinged.
I don't care who you are. You have a right to hire a lawyer who can put objections on the record. You have a right to hire a lawyer who can stand up and say something when they see something wrong. But I was told to sit down today. I was yelled at, and I've had a judge who is unhinged slamming a table. Let me be very clear. I don't tolerate that in my life. I'm not going to tolerate it here.
The former president and 2024 Republican presidential frontrunner argues this is political warfare, and Fox News contributor Andy McCarthy agrees.
Well, he's got a real point, Dana, when he says that this is political lawfare. And I do think this case discredits some of the other cases against him, which are pretty colorable. This one, people should understand, is the case that the prosecutors, the federal prosecutors in Manhattan, and then the district attorney's office in Manhattan, which is hardly indicated that it wouldn't take a weak case against Trump, given what they have indicted. They looked at this and they decided not to charge it because there are no victims. The allegation is that he inflated the value of his assets, but these are high-end transactions involving very sophisticated financial actors who do their own due diligence. Trump's own financial statements, the statements of financial condition that are the heart of this case, have a disclaimer in them basically admonishing the people on the other side to do their own due diligence and not put too much stock in his numbers. And I think that's why the prosecutors looked at this case and decided there was no criminal case. But Tish James, the AG, has this monstrous statute that allows her to bring a civil case even if there are no damages and even if there's no proof of intent to deceive, much less actual fraud. So this case is really very troubling.
Here's a recap of what unfolded when Donald Trump took to the stand in New York.
Look, it looks like at one point it did get quite contentious in the courtroom. Donald Trump took the stand defending himself against what he says is a politicized attack on him as a candidate for the next election. But the Attorney General of New York has already had one win before this trial has even started, with the judge already deciding that there was fraud in relation to the valuation of Donald Trump's properties to the tune of around $250 million. What we're discussing now is the potential damages. And it seems like throughout the course of the evidence today that Donald Trump was being asked about how they came to these valuations, what he knew when, that sort of thing. And it really only got fiery around lunchtime when he was accused by the judge of not answering the questions and going off random tangents. The judge at one point said, if we've got a little bit of the transcript here, I beseech you to control him if you can, to Trump's lawyer, and then said, no, I'm not here to hear what he has to say. I'm here to hear him answer questions. And that's got this immediate response from Donald Trump saying this is a very unfair trial, very, and I hope the public is watching. We're already seeing Donald Trump's legal team saying that he's not been given his right to be heard in a courtroom by this phrase saying, look, I'm not here to hear what he has to say. But it seems like it's taken slightly out of context, at least in that particular bit of the transcript. Nonetheless, this has become highly politicized, given that Donald Trump is running again for office and is the leading Republican candidate. But what this whole trial goes to is the value of Donald Trump as a businessman. It's been his most effective marketing tool as a politician across the country among his supporters. They will often say it's the number one reason they respect Donald Trump is he's a successful businessman. Here's Chris Christie, another Republican candidate who's not doing very well in the polls against Donald Trump to become president and has been a long-time critic. Here's his assessment of how this has played out today.
He knows that he's committed fraud. He knows that this is over, and this is just about playing to the grandstand. Imagine the stress he's under now, knowing he may never be able to do business again in the state where he was born and raised and built the company that his father left to him into the even bigger company that it became.
And Pete, to give you a sense of just how extraordinary this whole trial is, here's a couple of social media posts from today. Donald Trump going the Attorney General on Truth Social, accusing her of corruption while this whole case is taking place. You can't imagine most lawyers would advise that. At the same time, the Attorney General herself, Letitia James, tweeting sarcastically about Donald Trump, saying she doesn't know the value of one of his properties that's under discussion in court, saying she can see it from her courtroom. It's pretty remarkable stuff to be putting this on social media while the trial is taking place. And remember, this is just one. We've got 4 criminal trials in the next year for Donald Trump.